And we are live. Morning. It's Saturday, and in the Celebrate Business Project, every Saturday is Small Business Saturday. I want to do a little bit of explaining since this is the only the third broadcast that we have done that we are doing, but we're going to do it every Saturday here on out. We're either going to uh, produce the broadcast right here where I am now in my studio, or uh, preferably we are going to be in one of the 387 metropolitan statistical areas to spend a couple Saturdays uh, producing live streams. And it's a very exciting time. We'll be very, very busy in 2024. I am hoping to complete the plans for April. April is proclaimed by the Small Business Administration as National Small Business Month. It's a celebration, uh, recognition that they have every year. And within the month is National Small Business Week, which is the uh, this year it's ending. It's going to end on Small Business Week is going to end one day after my 75th birthday, which you've been hearing is going to be very special because it's represents me celebrating 75 years of business. Uh, and well, I was born into a family that we had a couple small businesses in our family, and that's really the only thing that I have ever done professionally as an adult. So Saturdays will either be here. Uh, Actually, the hopefully the studio is going to move to another city. We are in the planning stages for that, and don't want to talk too much about it. But we will broadcast every Saturday, either ourselves. I might invite a person on a Saturday or a couple people to have a conversation, and preferably, as I said, I will be in a small business somewhere in the United States on the Saturdays, and we'll obviously build the show, the broadcasts around being wherever it is that we are. Very exciting. And today, I wanted to talk about something that's uh, actually it's a question, probably one of the most asked questions of me in all my years in talking with small businesses is should I write a book? And I couldn't give a good answer to that question until I wrote a book myself. And so it was in the summer of 2007, to be exact, that my son Jordan, who was at that time a sophomore in the marketing department at the Ohio State, and that summer we had some time together, and he said, Dad, you are not branding, positioning, marketing yourself your company right? I said, okay. Tell me, let's create a plan. Let's create a strategy, and let's go for it. So we spent the summer. Um, Actually, it didn't take us long to develop the strategy, but I then spent the very first thing I did that summer was I wrote a book. I created Dreaming with Entrepreneurs LLC, and my avatar, if you will, Small Biz David, uh, was created then, the summer of 2007. But I wanted to share the well. I will answer the question, and then I'll tell you how we got to the answer. Uh, yes. Well, anybody should take the time and write the book. It doesn't have to be a big fancy book. It doesn't have to be something that a publisher will publish and you'll make lots of money on or a little money on. A diary is a diary, a journal. That's a book. It's a recording. You're taking notes, things that are happening. Uh, I highly encourage that because you'll find as you move on in your life, you'll go back to notes that you had to remind you of some things. It's a good practice. Uh, that summer of 2007, I had been meeting with a friend on Monday mornings, very early, before the day actually got started. We met for coffee at a Starbucks down the road. And one day, Ann said to me, David, you need to go home and write a book. So I literally went home that day and started to put the book concept together. And the book that I wrote, How Do You Answer These 749 Questions About Your Small Business? It was the most, it's a wonderful, wonderful business project. From the time that Ann told me to go home and start writing until I actually held the book up on a YouTube was 100 days. Actually, the first place I held it up was not a YouTube right away. It was a wine and cheese, a New Year's Day wine and cheese party where I held the book up. The next day, I created a YouTube about the book. But at any rate, it took me 100 days from the time Ann said go home. And not only did I write the book and edit it, but I actually worked with a printer myself to manufacture the book. And it was not an easy book to manufacture. Uh, it was designed to be a workbook that the questions, there are 749 questions. How did I come up with the number 749? True story. Uh, when I got home that day, that summer day, one of the first books I saw was a book I had lying around, and the title of it was uh, 400 Questions an Entrepreneur Should Ask, was the title of the book. And I kind of looked at it and I smiled and I kind of went through it and see what was going on. And I said, you know what? I am not going to present necessarily just the questions, but invite, motivate whomever reads the book, because it's a workbook, to fill in the spaces, take notes. I need to talk to my accountant, need to talk to my attorney, need to talk to David, whatever the note might be, so that you could take a look at your own business to see what was going on see the changes you needed to make in that business, in your business. So I decided I was going to create 800 questions. I was going to double it was an arbitrary decision. I was going to double the number of questions that that author, I don't remember what his name was, what he suggested, and how did we get to 749? That's a great story in and of itself. Uh, when I was working with my friend Jack, he owned a good sized printing operation about a half hour south of Columbus, Ohio. And so I actually served with Jack. We were both on the governor's Small Business Advisory Council and the Ohio Governor Small Business Advisory Council back in that was back in 2003, 4, and 5. Right? Jack and I were became friends. So I went over and we created how it was going to look. Uh, my friend Andy, I've got to give him a call. I haven't spoken to him in years. He designed the cover, and also I guess he must have designed the back too. Or I might have done that because I kind of remember doing some of those things. Anyways, the book came together. We had to because it was a workbook and we wanted to be able to open so the individual could, the small business owner could write the answers to the question, his answers. Um, we put a spiral binding in it. And one of the reasons why that was I didn't think much about it. I didn't think of the implications. I just did it. And uh, Small Business Week in 2008, um, I spent 3 of the 7 days in Sam's Clubs in the Cincinnati market. There are 3 different clubs, and I was actually passing out complimentary copies of my book. And the reason why they were complimentary, well, it was a marketing reason, but Dave at Sam's Club, who I was working with, Dave was in Bentonville, Arkansas. He said, "We'd love to sell your book, but because of the way it's designed, it won't warehouse well. It's the cover, it's a a good cover, but it won't warehouse well. The spiral binding, it's too big, and in order for us to actually display it in the store, in the club, we would have to create. You would have to create a special display case for them." So I kind of laughed and said, "Well, I want your customers who are small business owners, who are the ones that should be asking the questions. I want them to have it." So it was a good time. I did that during Small Business Week in 2008. Let me talk a little bit about the structure of the book because I've decided that a major project of the Celebrate Business project, is an action, is going to be to rewrite, not necessarily rewrite, to revise, bring out a revised edition of the book. But as I was studying the situation this week, I said, there's no way I can revise this book as such because I had 5 chapters. Um, 2 of the 5 chapters would have to be totally rewritten. Conceptually, the questions were okay, but they were specific to 2007 and not 2024. So I am going to the way I'm going to revise the book is create a new chapter. I'll call it a new chapter, and the uh, title, working title of the chapter is "Today's Marketing and Sales Landscape Mindset." Because believe me, I did not even use the expression marketing sales in 2007. In 2007, it was marketing was one word and sales was another word, concept, idea. Uh, but very clearly, I've spent the last 15, 16 years uh, integrating, making them as one mindset because that's the approach that I've taken as a direct marketer. It's not necessarily the approach that a mass marketer takes, somebody who um, does a YouTube or whatever and tells you they're the greatest whatever. um, it's we don't talk about things. We talk about things, but we do things. We make things happen, and that therein lies the difference, uh, and the approach and the mindset. So uh, today's marketing sales landscape mindset, I have found it to be extremely interesting, very different uh, than uh, 20 years ago. Well, for sure. And the change is technology. The changes is technology. Uh, and as we all know, technology changes every millisecond. Who knows how often it changes? Actually, when a lot of times when Google changes their technology, it kind of creeps up on you. They don't give you a lot of advanced notice that the technology has changed. I had to laugh. Um, Google used to have this, uh, their social media platform was called Hangouts on Air. And you would literally do a video and you'd hang out on air with other folks. And uh, we did, I made lots and lots of friends in those years. And my videos in those years were um, with people still. There's, well, uh, one of my Hall of Fame authors, Barbara Weltman. She and I did our first live stream 16 years ago with talking about business, and Barbara is the authority and author on small business taxes. Actually, if you go to my YouTube channel, um, you'll see many conversations that I've had with Barbara. At any rate, uh, well, let me talk about the that my I call it the Wall of Fame because it is very impactful on my thinking. these are all uh, these are all. Let's see if you can see them all. That's Barbara's book right there, and I don't know if you can see that. Oh, there it is. Uh, Barbara every year uh, she writes the book uh, because she's the expert and she updates what the uh, tax changes to the tax code. Plus, she does a weekly, daily, a daily blog, if you will, big ideas for small business, and shares tax things, ideas, concepts. But in talking about that book for 16 years. I will just take them in order. This book, Intentional, written by a friend of mine, David Amerlin. David is a very established author. I think he's working on his 12th book or 13th book. Not, I don't remember the number exactly, but this of all the books, and he and I have had conversations that we've live streamed on at least a half a dozen of the books, if not more. I haven't talked about all of them, but most of them. Uh, Intentional is my favorite because, as I've said many times, in Intentional, David describes and explains my why I do the things that I do, why I think that the way I do. David has a grasp of that, how the brain works, how the mind works, as well as anybody I've ever met. And uh, I have he has been very influential in my marketing and sales thinking that I've done for Dave and I have been having conversations probably for 10 years now. There's my book. Oh, that picture fell off. This is a picture of my father. That's how I got started. Uh, my father was a publisher, and actually, the last year of his life, which was it'll be 51 years ago, he and I were publishing the same kind of monthly periodical in different markets. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. He was in my hometown of Canton, Ohio. And it was fun to be doing the same thing that my father was doing in a different place. And actually, to that point, you can't see it all, but that I created an art piece out of it. I designed that cover for my publication in North Carolina. I had access to a lot more resources than my father did with his publication. So I sent him the artwork, the negatives. If you know anything about printing, I sent those to Dad, and he used them on his publication, which by circumstance, I actually bought that publication in 1974, before my 25th birthday, and it's a crazy. It was a story that was supposed to happen, and it's amazing. But this card, I should tell that too. That's funny. I was 7 years old, and my father was running for political office in our community. He was running for what they call a councilman, 11th Ward councilman. And so he thought it would be a good marketing and sales idea if I, as a 7-year-old, took this card, not the picture, just the card, up to the front door, knocked on the door, and gave it to every voter in our market, in our precinct, in our market. And my father waited down at the street level, waited for me, and wow, the end of the story was we didn't do too. Dad didn't do too well. He was beaten 2-1. So all those hours I spent marketing my father, it didn't work. But it didn't discourage that. He ran for political office again a couple years later. Well, actually, he ran for the Board of Education in our community, and once again was solidly defeated. That time, he was running against two individuals, that between them, they had 25, 50. They had 50 years of service on the Board of Education in Canton, Ohio, between the two of them. And my dad was running against that and did not fare well at all. Um, that book, this is interesting. That's Jay Abraham. And a couple months ago, I had a conversation with Jay, live streamed, about the book, Business Wealth Without Risk. And it is one of the most powerful business books I have ever read in my life. Uh, I His appendix is the most outstanding appendix I have ever seen in a business book. And the appendix itself was worth way more than I think I paid $19 for this book on Amazon. I got a special price, I think it was $19. Uh, but wonderful book. Uh, Jay and I had a conversation about it a couple months ago. And right now, he is doing, and he didn't talk about this at all when we had this conversation. He is doing the most fantastic, unbelievable marketing sales blast I have ever seen in my life. It is amazing what he's doing, and it'll go on for a long time. The project that he just initiated it just a couple months ago. At the time the book came out, then the next step was this whole program. There's not a question in my mind. Millions and millions of dollars will be turning and churning by the program that Jay has put together. And so I'm telling you this because I recommend you go and follow Jay. Uh, it's it's an unbelievable story. And the last thing I said to him in that conversation that we had, it's somewhere on my YouTube channel. I'll have to make sure it's there. But uh, the last thing I said to Jay was, "I know you're going to sell 1 million copies of that book." And he kind of laughed, and he said, "Well, I don't know if I'll sell a million copies, but uh, when I do, you'll be the first one I'll tell." So I don't know if he'll sell 1 million books. He will, but it's just amazing all the things that are going on, and it's Jay's approach, and the things that he's actually doing are the concepts are described in the book. So it's a wonderful journey, wonderful journey. The other two books, that book there is this book here. I in 2010 or 11. Well, in 2011, I met Brian Tracy in 2011. Uh, this book was out, and it was either late 2010. I met him 2011. Well, it must have been 2011. It came out on October 21st, 2011. Brian uh, wrote in my book. Well, first, if you've never heard of Brian Tracy, he is absolutely the most prolific author, books about business, and I call him life and book businesses. Uh, he he's written at least 75 books in 50 languages, I think, millions and millions of copies all over the world. And I had an opportunity to spend 45 minutes with him, in which I was telling him, I was telling him where Dreaming with Entrepreneurs what our vision was, what our mission was, where we were going. And after our discussion, he signs the book and said, David, you can do it. There are no limits. And of course, that's the underlying foundation of entrepreneurship, that we are only limited by our imagination. New things have technology. It's the challenge of technology to make things better in the next 10 minutes than they were in the last. And that's why the technology thing is going crazy. But uh, speaking of technology, I might as well share a major concern that I am having, I have every day. As I write about today's marketing sales landscape mindset, the biggest transition of a mindset that I have seen in my 52 years is the whole notion of machine driven artificial intelligence, changing the marketplace a lot for the good, but much, much more for the bad. The things that I am reading that I get every day, it's amazing. I wrote a column for LinkedIn. I did a posting, and at the very bottom, before I actually posted it, LinkedIn asked me, "Do you want an artificial intelligence rewrite?" Well, why would I want a rewrite? Well, I know I would want to rewrite to potentially make it better, but I would have to give credit to artificial intelligence in the article that I was writing if that's the case, because uh, I've been writing and publishing for 52 years on my own intelligence and not artificial intelligence. So I'm very concerned with the, um, the things I'm seeing and reading and hearing. Uh, but I am most encouraged by something I saw on television. It was about a 10-minute report on television, and something that I am going to be pursuing very strongly in uh, what I'm going to create. The update to 749 questions is it's multi uh, dimensional um, quantum computing, multi-dimensional quantum computing. The reason why I am very, very interested in it, because there are three companies, Google, IBM, and the Cleveland Clinic, who are investing millions of dollars in developing this technology to bring to the marketplace. The best way that I can describe it now, and I'm going to be doing lots of research and talking to lots of people, because I want to work as much of that into the marketing and sales landscape mindset that I'm going to be creating, that I am creating, not going to be, that I am creating. So the report I was seeing on television actually interviewed people from a person from the chief engineer from Google. I don't know, I don't remember the title of the person at IBM, and I'm not quite sure who was representing the Cleveland Clinic, but the comment was, in less than 5 years, this multi-dimensional thinking is going to be here. So that's going to change. So artificial intelligence, we will forget about artificial intelligence once uh, quantum computing hits the marketplace. public is able to use it, and it evolves within the market. And I want to be a part of the marketing and sales evolvement. It's got my attention for sure. So let me real briefly talk about the mechanics of this book. Um, I, I as I was going through it, it's amazing to me how much I had to. Uh, hey, this is interesting. I'll get to that later. I had 5 chapters in the book. Your small business strategy. Now, um, that's pretty much going to stay the same. The only new aspect is how are you working technology into the strategy of your business. That's the new area there. So we'll go back into some of that. Uh, your marketing and marketing communications was a chapter. That is the one that's going to change dramatically. As I was reading the questions that I had back in 2000, I created in 2007, it's amazing. As I said, the foundations and concepts are still there, but the answers to the questions are dramatically different today than they were when I wrote them in 2007. Technology decisions, I've said enough about that. Small business money issues was one of my chapters. I absolutely will not deal with that. I will refer all questions to Barbara Weltman. She's the expert. Uh, she any questions, any things about money, I because I would go to ask Barbara, so you might as well. I'll tell you what, if you have any questions about tax issues or whatever, go to Barbara's page, or barbaraweltman.com. But you can email me the question, and I will make sure that I get an answer for Barbara. Well, actually, we'll make a little. We'll do a broadcast with it. I don't know if Barbara will be there. I'm sure she'll be happy to be there. So send your questions in, and I'll put a live stream together with Barbara. Your small business health care issues. Back in 2007, I was uh, I was a healthcare expert for small businesses. I was licensed to sell healthcare products, didn't sell any. My purpose for getting licensed was so that I could share with credibility information about healthcare for small businesses. That landscape has changed crazy, crazy changed. So I'm not going to deal a lot with that, but I am going to. I've always wanted to create a marketing and sales situation in healthcare, specifically for Medicare supplement products. I have been buying Medicare supplement products for 9 years now. I didn't the first year. I was in Medicare without a supplement program just to see how Medicare worked. That was 10 years ago. And then the next year I bought a product. Well, I don't agree. I don't like the way Medicare is sold, marketed, and sold on television. I think it's misleading. So what I want to do is put our own program together where we can educate uh, seniors, people on Medicare, to make the best decisions for them, the best decision for them. And we'll see how that plays out. If I could pick one word that has changed my thinking the most, even beyond technology, is collaboration. The future of any business is its ability to create collaborative partnerships with other businesses. So the collaboration of those resources make more things happen. There are better things happening when folks collaborate together. So that's the big that's the one word that has changed in my thinking the most since I wrote the book. So you'll see. Wow, you'll see that because that's the whole concept and foundation of the Celebrate Business Project. That we will go into marketplaces, markets, cities, and spend 2 Saturdays in those cities creating live streams. Every Saturday is Small Business Saturday, and we will create videos for businesses in that marketplace. I will be working with co-producers in each of those markets. So that's collaborations that I am looking for right now. Folks to collaborate with me to create a marketing and sales mindset in the various communities, and I will I will guarantee more market noise for them in 2 weeks. In a 2 week period, they won't believe the market noise that will be created for them with the project that we take into the community. So uh, that's going to happen. And then I wanted to, uh, well, I was reading my introduction, and the introduction, obviously, in the last 10 minutes, I've given you the update introduction to the book, essentially. But in my introduction, I said the following: all businesses have several common challenges with one another and therefore need to have special focus on the defined strategy of the business with a written business plan. You have to have a written plan. You can't be thinking about it. You write it down because then you can go back to it and see if you are achieving the objectives of that plan. So you have to write it. Marketing communications of the business. I call it marketing sales. Technology considerations of the business. We've said we all know that impact. Money, and I talked about it. Uh, Money matters will be referred to Barbara. Healthcare, we'll see where we go with healthcare in 2024. And then here's the 5 big questions that I ask in the introductions. Are you able to articulate your business strategy? And that will be the purpose of the videos that I create, that I publish, that I produce and publish for the small businesses, the solopreneurs in those markets. You will be able to articulate. You will articulate it by the end of the 19 minutes conversation that we have to create that. Do you have a logical marketing strategy? Uh, we'll figure that out too. Do you embrace technology? You know the answer to that question, whether or not you embrace it. If you don't, you must. If you have uh, questions of how and why, send them on to me, and I'll help you out. I'll head you out in the right direction. And do you understand the healthcare industry? I'm not going to ask that question because I don't totally understand the healthcare industry. Well, I understand the concept. I don't spend enough time, working it, so I stay away from it. I think that's well. Okay, there's another thing I wanted to share with you, and let's get into um, a program, a project that I decided to create within the Celebrate Business Project, and that's an ambassador program. I want to have ambassadors in all 387 markets, uh, statistical, metropolitan statistical area markets in the United States. I want to have uh, lots of ambassadors in those markets. So I am establishing a a private club. Some things are going to be public, but most of the things that happen within the ambassadors club will be private, closed just to club members, and there will be a lifetime admission, a lifetime investment subscription uh, to the club membership to the ambassadors private club of $99, one time, lifetime. And I will be cutting that number off at some point. I don't know what that number is yet. We'll see what happens. But what do you get for your $99? Well, I promise you fun. You'll have fun with that, with what happens within the community. But right away, you will get a digital copy of my keyword index from the book. I had 749 questions. Every question has keywords in it. And so that's what a question is. I have 1,000 keywords in this keyword index, and it actually tells you what question in the book it is. It doesn't tell you what page, but it tells you what question it is. So everybody that joins the Ambassadors Private Club will get a copy of this, a digital copy of this, because anytime for the rest of my life, you can submit a question with any one of these keywords on it. And it might be a question that you have, or it might be a question that a friend has, a relative has, a family member has. It doesn't matter. Because you're an ambassador, you can gather questions, submit it to me, and I promise you an answer to that question. It might take a while because I have a feeling we're going to get lots of questions, but that's okay. That's okay. Uh, but the other way to look at it, not being able to get a copy of the book, these are the keywords of all the questions that are in the book. So you in essence, you have the book with the keyword index. So that will be one of the things that happens with a membership, a commitment once a month, and I'm thinking, well, we're going to do it once a month at the first Sunday of every month. Details to be determined. I will. We're going to have a gathering of all a cyberspace gathering of all the members, of all the ambassadors. Topics to be discussed. They can bring. They can be whatever you the ambassadors want. I will facilitate the discussions. They can be social questions, personal questions, business questions. That's what's going to happen on Sunday nights, and lots of fun there. Uh, some of the questions we will work into the our every Saturday broadcast. I'll read them. If you don't want to, if it's okay for it to go public, you're okay with you asking the question, me giving your name, I will. If not, I might just give your initials. That was your question. We'll deal with those on Saturdays. Every Saturday should be is every Saturday is not should be is Small Business Saturday. But then here's where it really starts to get fun. When I come into your market, the first night that I am there, we'll have a wine and cheese gathering, lots of fun. We'll meet one another and make the connections, and we'll have lots of fun doing that. That's part of the ambassadors, and the ambassadors. That will be a time for me to share with the ambassadors what's happening in their market because that's why I'm there. So that's another thing that I am looking forward to. We're gonna have a lot of fun in 2024. Uh, it's it is the year. It's the most important year of my life because I'm here. I'm here talking about it. But I started to say I'm planning. Well, I think I'm planning where I'm going to be, where I would like to be uh, on my 75th birthday. I, and it's not where I'm sitting right now. I'm not going to share where, but it's out there. And I have a whole concept and program why I want to be in that particular market. Actually I have one conceptual proposal out to a company of how I'm making it's a conceptual idea of how we can collaborate on celebrating National Small Business Week in April. Of course, how much fun would it be ending up that whole deal with my birthday? I have another conceptual proposal that will be taken to the post office and put in priority mail by Monday. I'm spending the weekend to finalize it. So that's what that's why I've been celebrating business, doing the things that uh, I've been doing for 52 years officially, and uh, evolving, changing every day. I have to find something new to add to it, and so one of the concepts, one thing that we will do when we go into the markets, we'll make use of a card I tested uh, here in Cincinnati, a postcard. So there'll be a big postcard mailing, uh, unique, very, very unique in how it's done based upon my experiences of the last 50 plus years. So I think I have covered everything. Oh my goodness. I thank everybody for. Oh, I didn't realize it. I got carried away here. I've been on for 54 minutes. I usually am not that on that long, but I guess I was kind of excited about today's. Uh, every Saturday is Small Business Saturday. So I'll see you, if not sooner, I'll see you next Saturday. And as my old friend Jaime Williams used to say 55 years ago, we'll see you the next time, which may very well be the best time. We'll see you then.